Hello there, welcome to Cabbage Patch Soap. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Laura, and today I am doing a Gemstone Soap collab, and I will leave links down below to all the other members of the collab. So we were supposed to make a gemstone soap, and I was having trouble coming up with something that I liked, and I wanted to do something moonstone themed. The problem with moonstones is that they are usually clear, or at least partially clear, and they have like a flash of, blue or something blue toned like purple or something inside of them. They're very pretty, but with an opaque soap, since I do mostly cold process, that would be really hard to achieve. So I have some different things I'm doing instead to make the moonstone soap. So those were little moons. I thought I'd do moons, in a gemstone soap, and there, now it's moonstone. And then you saw the little pieces in the cup that I had, dusted with different colors. And these little round pieces were just some of the flattened soap pieces that I didn't flatten. I decided to make some round ones. And then here I've got a galaxy type color. I'm just sort of pressing it in, making sure it's up against the sides. And you'll notice I'm not wearing gloves in this video. That's because I'm only making one bar, and I'm going to be keeping it, so I'm not selling the soap. And I wanted the galaxy colors to represent maybe like a gas cloud or something up in space. I just wanted a really, I don't know, like a space sort of a theme, since it's moonstone. And those little pieces again that I mentioned, they're dusted in different micas. This one is highlight white purple. It has flashes of purple when it gets wet, otherwise it looks white. And this is Mad Mica's Here Comes the Bride, which is like a opalescent white color. And then this last one, Sparkle White Diamonds. So that has a really pretty sparkly white effect. Like a silvery white. It's very pretty. So you can see how the combination of those micas coating these little pieces here gives it a really, I don't know, otherworldly shimmer. Thought it was really pretty together. And those little pieces are just the galaxy pieces and also blue pieces that have been coated in that mica. What I'm going to be doing here is just pressing these into the bottom of the mold to make like a frame around the bottom. So here's the first piece. I'm just going to push this in. You can see how the mica is coming off pretty easily, and that's fine. It has a very thick coating of this mica around it. I'm just going to put in the next one, and these are going to go in almost like smashed in cobblestones. But I wanted them to be more rounded, little rounded pieces, almost to make like clouds or something, like a different type of gas cloud. Also, sometimes when we look at things up in space, when the sun shines on them, like when we see the reflection on the moon, it can have kind of a silvery appearance sometimes. I thought that would be kind of neat to sort of represent this in here somehow. I'm just going to cover this whole area here that doesn't have any of that galaxy soap. I'm just looking for certain shapes and sizes to kind of fill in the rest of the bottom here. I didn't show the part with the galaxy soap because it took quite a while to just mix everything and smush it in there. I didn't think you wanted to sit and watch, a half hour or more of me just smashing soap into the mold. I'm just blending in the two parts where they meet on the seam, and then I'm taking some of this mica and patting it on. Most of this is not going to be visible just because it's going to be under the soap layer when I pour the soap in, but as the bar gets used up, it may become visible later on down the line. So I decided I may as well give it a try. And the soap I'm going to be making will be 100% coconut oil. I wanted a white soap without adding any titanium dioxide because I wanted it to be very slightly translucent, which, 100% coconut oil soap does tend to be a little bit translucent. So I thought we'd give it a try and see how it looked. I will also be putting in some sparkles into the coconut oil just to give it another dimension. And I did give it a 20% superfat, so it will be okay to use on my hands. Coconut oil soaps, if they do not have a high superfat, can be really drying, and I didn't want a drying soap. So here I'm just putting in the last few pieces. And then the last one I went to put in gave me a little bit of trouble. It wouldn't stick on. So I ended up using a little bit of rubbing alcohol to help it stay in place. So here's this last piece. I just used a little bit of rubbing alcohol, sprayed on, and that helped it stick better to the soap. I haven't tried using water before, but I hear that, water will also work, but I didn't want the soap dough to be any wetter than it was. It wasn't really wet, but I didn't want it to not set up in the mold, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So here it is. You can see it has kind of a cloud-like appearance, almost like a silvery cloud, which is what I wanted. And then the other side has the galaxy-esque type design, which was fun. So now I'm just taking some of that mica and just touching it up, and I really like this mica, so I'm putting on as much as I can and just hoping that when I pour the soap in that it will stick. And I'm also just using the chopstick there to push things into place, make sure everything is up against the side really well, so that the soap, when I pour it in, doesn't spill behind the wall that I made. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking a Q-tip with some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and I'm just going to wipe down the sides of the mold where they're exposed, because I didn't have the two ends meet in the middle here on the ends. I'm just going anywhere where the mold is exposed and scraping off some of that soap dough. That way when I pour in the coconut oil, it'll have, or the coconut oil soap batter, it'll have nice clean edges where it meets the mold. So here are the containers of soap dough that I've got. We are going to make some more stones, some crystals and things to go in here, which I thought would be a lot of fun. So I'm just cutting out some of the soap dough with this knife. And I want some fairly straight edges, which is why I decided to use this big knife instead of my little palette knife. And we're going to cut this up. And then we will dust them. So I'm just going to clean the area real quick. So that first one is blue. This one is teal. We're going to do the same thing. I'm just speeding this up a little bit since you guys know what it looks like to cut the soap dough. And clean the knife off. These little soap towels are really, really good for cleaning up soap. And there's a little piece of Galaxy that I went with that has some purple in it. So I decided to make those gemstones like a blend. I'm just going to move these moonstones out of the way. So what I'm doing is just using the side of the knife here, the flat of the knife, to flatten out this piece of soap dough. And then using my hands to warm it up. And as you can see, it kind of sticks to the knife, so the solution there is just to spray everything with alcohol, with rubbing alcohol, and just press it down, and then it stops sticking. And now I'm going to cut off the side there to make it a flat edge. And then for each cut, I'm just going to spray the knife so that it doesn't stick to the soap. I'm going to cut out kind of rough crystal shapes. See, there's the first one. I got kind of a rectangular crystal shape. I'm just going to keep going on spraying this knife with rubbing alcohol and cutting out the shapes. I decided to make these different sizes, so I've got some small ones, some larger ones. I'm going to angle the tips of these crystals to make them look more, how do I describe this? Make it look intentionally like it's supposed to be crystals without making it look like you made crystals. You know, you want it to look a little bit natural, but also want it to look like an actual crystal. So then what I'm going to do is, one at a time, going to place these into the mica that I had, the same mica that I used for those flat round discs. And as long as you put these in one at a time and coat them, they won't stick, because they'll absorb, well, the mica will stick to them and then they won't stick to the next piece of soap. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take these other pieces here and just cut them also into crystals and keep adding them, so we'll end up with a large collection of crystals and rocks. This whole process of making the little crystals took quite some time. I made them in blue, I made them in teal, and I made them in that purple galaxy swirl color. I just kept adding them one at a time until we came to the end where I just had little pieces left. I just chopped these up. They're gonna be like little rocks, kinda, and just sprinkled them in, and then ended up dumping them in at the end because it didn't matter if the little pieces stuck together quite as much. And we'll just use those to fill in spaces as we need them. And I'm just going to clean everything off and get it ready. So here is the oil. This is coconut oil only. And as I said before, normally with coconut oil you want to have a super fat of about 20% or so, otherwise it can be really drying to the hands. Since this is not going to be a dish soap, that is what I went ahead and did. So this has a pretty high super fat, which will make it safe to use. I'm going to just use one fragrance and just some sparkles. I don't want this colored. I wanted to see how it would look if it was just left on its own. I don't want it to compete with all the other wild colors and things we have going on. So this is Tuberose fragrance. This smells kind of like what something that smells floral would smell like. It's kind of floral, but it doesn't smell like flowers. It's like a hint or a memory of a floral, which I really like. It's very unique and difficult to explain. I really like it. Again, we're going to use these colors. We're going to use the Sparkle Diamonds and the Mirage color, that purple white. That's the purpley one. So you can see how when it gets wet, it reflects that purple color. It's really super pretty. So when the light hits it just right, you'll see purple. Otherwise it'll look invisible or it'll look white. And then these are the diamonds. Or actually more purple going because I wanted more. And then we'll put that diamonds one. I decided not to put the Here Comes the Bride in here. I only put it on the coating of the soap dough. And the reason for that is the Here Comes the Bride does have some titanium dioxide in it, which would turn the soap more of a white and more opaque, which I didn't want. So you can see the swirls, the colors, and the sparkly, you know what I'm trying to say, the shimmers in the swirling. And this is a very small amount of oil. It's only about 5 ounces. This is more than enough for that little soap bar that we're going to make. And also because of the floral type fragrance that we're using and the coconut oil, I am going to be whisking in this lye water by hand. There's nothing in this lye water. I didn't add any sea salt or anything like I normally do. I don't think it's going to need it, and I'm not really concerned. Just for this one project, I was more concerned about how it looked and how the design was, rather than, since I'm not selling this, I'm not super worried about how it performs. Because I know it'll be good even without all those extra things that I usually put in my soaps. So you just saw me there scratching up the bottom just a little bit, just to help the soap grab on. I don't think it'll be a problem, but just in case, I thought I'd go ahead and scratch up the bottom of that soap dough a little bit. And now I'm just whisking in the lye water. This starts to get thick right away. I was making sure that there wasn't a false trace there, but it's definitely not a false trace. This is very, very thick. And it only took a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this in. Just leveling it out a little bit. And then we're going to start adding all these pieces that we cut out into the soap to make the design. So here's all of our rocks. And I'm also going to pour out the rest of this batter into another mold just so that it doesn't get wasted. This was going thick so quickly that I knew it would be solid in this container if I waited much longer. Just going to flatten it out real quick. So this little rock was interesting. When I tumbled it around to get it coated, the tip broke off and that exposed some of the color, but I really liked that. Thought it looked really natural, so I went ahead and left it in. And we're just going to start sticking these in. I tried to put the taller ones more towards the back on one side, and then the smaller ones closer to what would be the front for me. I'm just placing them in. I'm trying to keep it a little bit random, but I'm not an expert on building crystal clusters, so we'll see. And then I'm also going to place the moons in, because this is Moonstone Soap. Placing this in was really fun. It was like building a little galaxy or something. So I went ahead and put in those round pearls. I guess they could be pearls or round moonstones or moon rocks or something. They're super shiny and pretty. And then I'm putting the moonstones. And I'm going to go ahead and warn you that while I was recording this, I did not know, but for some reason my camera just decided it wasn't going to record anymore, and in the middle of all this it cut out. So in a minute here you'll see it cut out, but I come back and show you kind of the end result. Because after this I'm going to be putting on a little bit of that holographic glitter, the biodegradable stuff, and unfortunately it cuts out and misses it. So this is where it cut out. And you can see along the back there on the left hand side there's some of that hollow glitter stuck on. And then a little bit in the middle there I put some. You can see all the crystals and moons sticking out. So this was really fun to make. I went ahead and put it in the oven to let it see pop and gel, even though it's just one little tiny bar. And that's kind of dangerous to do with coconut soaps sometimes because they get really super hot and can crack. But I figured if it cracked, it would just make it look more like a crystal or a gemstone than before. And if it, since it's such a small bar, the chances of it cracking are really minimal. So here's that extra bar. I took a bunch of the extra pieces and just stuffed them in here. Smells really good. Has that really light hint of a sort of floral to it. It's very unusual. I really like it. And you can see on the edges of this bar the sparkles from the purple and the diamonds that we put in. Smells really good, or it looks really good, and also smells really good. So now I'm just going to pull out the main bar. I'm just trying to be gentle because I don't know how set up the soap dough is yet. But as we let this sit and cure, it'll harden fully. Alright, and here's the bar. It looks super cool. It's like its own little mini world. It's super fun. So on this side you see the shiny silvery colors, and on the back you see the galaxy, and then on the bottom you can see where they blend together. And you can see how it really picks up the light. It's like a gemstone, like a big chunk of gemstone. And then here all the little gemstone cluster crystal things are sticking out. This was super fun. I really enjoyed this. I wasn't sure what to make, and I kept thinking about this and thought, I'll give it a shot and see how it turns out. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I will be putting some photos at the end, and I would recommend staying till the very end because the last couple of photos show something really neat, what this looks like under a black light. It's completely different, and I'm super happy I tried it out. And yeah, so hopefully you guys had fun with this as much as I did. And I will be doing my regular videos, which are live streams now. I do a lot of live streams, so please come back and check us out. And we love hearing from you. I love hearing all your suggestions and making the soaps and ideas that you guys come up with, so please join us. Also, check out the other videos in the collab. Everybody did such a good job with all their soaps. it's great to go and watch and see what they come up with. So here are the pictures, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.